Hi, everyone. Please join me in welcoming our main speaker and my sponsor, Shireen. Yay!
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Shireen. I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Shireen.
And it's really good to see all of your faces. I like to just kind of scan the room, see my fellow alcoholics. Before I get started, I want to thank Alan for having me come out. I was thinking on the way over here, I've known Alan my whole sobriety. My sobriety date is June 3rd, 1989. So that's 35 years sober, one day at a time, sometimes 1 minute at a time. But I thought, what a gift and what a blessing that we've known each other that long, and that you have gotten to watch a whole row of us walk into these rooms and stay here, or at least make it back. So thank you. Morgana, I love you, and you did amazing. Amazing. I'm like, how can I even follow that now? Like, you said it all. I can sit down. Thank you for everyone that does service at this meeting. I like to say that lately because people forget it takes a lot to put on a meeting, and the setup and the cleanup and all that stuff. And then just to all of you that are new, I welcome you. I welcome you to Alcoholics Anonymous, even if you don't want to be here. And I didn't want to be here when I got here. And I fought tooth and nail not to be here. And I tried everything, like in our readings, not to be here. Self-knowledge, only on weekends, only at nighttime, like whatever. I tried it all. And so I am not someone who lacks. Like, how do I tell you? But I'm so grateful. Let me just tell you, I'm grateful that I have 45 minutes. Some people go, oh my God, 45 minutes, that's a long time. When you try to fit, how do you fit 35 years of sobriety in 10 minutes or 5 minutes, let alone even 45, quite frankly? But what I've learned how to do is just hope that I can share a snapshot, or paint a little picture of why I stay. It's a Saturday night. I live in the valley, for those of you that know, in San Fernando Valley. And I always joke about that, but with the 405 traffic, it's a freaking nightmare. And and I do it every day to come to, well, not every day now, thank God, but still work in Santa Monica. And that freeway is just torture for me. And I literally have no spirituality ever. Even if I say a prayer, just like God, keep me centered. All it takes is one person cutting me off or, doing something, and I'm flipping them off. Now I try not to flip people off because they'll pull out a gun and shoot me, really. But I just say that because even though today I wanted to be here. So let me just say today I actually wanted to be here. And I want to thank my friends for showing up and just coming, here tonight on a whim. But a lot of the times, I'll tell you, most of the time, I don't want to be here. So that's my truth. Most of the time, I don't want to show up. I'm tired, or there's a good show on, or it's cold, or there's a concert, or whatever. But most of the time, I don't want to be of service. I don't want to pick up a newcomer. I don't want to pick up a friend. I don't want to read the reading. I just want to be honest and tell you that most of the time, I don't want to do that stuff. But I do it anyway. And when I do it, I leave feeling good that I did. And I'm always grateful after I showed up that I did show up. And I leave feeling proud of myself. And I can tell you that there's been many times, not anymore, sometimes, but rarely, will I lie. I used to lie oh, I'm busy, or I would just, that what I've learned around here is that if I'm asked to be of service, then I need to be of service unless I really truthfully cannot be, if there's a legit reason. And what I can say is that when I have lied, I live with that. I live with that lie. And it's cunning and it's baffling and it's powerful and it's slow. And it's slow and it's patient. So the first time I lie, I can think I'm getting away with it. It's oh, it was warm tonight. That was a good show. But lies, like anything else, can become a habit. And the more that I have lied in the past, what happens is I start getting that dis-ease and that discomfort inside. And for me, and I don't know about you guys, because I'm sure some of you are back, and I'm so glad that you're alive and you made it back. not everybody makes it back, you know? And if this is your first time, it can be your first time, and you don't have to keep coming back, you know? But what I know is that my disease does not always start with a drink or a hit or a drug. My disease starts with me lying, then cheating, then stealing, then just whatever it is that my disease does before I ever pick up the drink or the hit, you know? And so today I try to the best of my ability to show up no matter what, even when I don't want to. And what I can tell you guys is that one day at a time, me being here for 35 years, I've pretty much gotten everything that I've ever wanted beyond what I ever even thought I wanted, beyond what I thought I deserved, beyond what I thought that I was smart enough to do. Like, I've gotten all the things and all the stuff. But what I am going to tell you, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, all of that is just stuff that, and I'm not going to lie, I love stuff and I love things, and I'd be a liar if I said I didn't. I love it. It's great. But that's not what sticks with me. What I can tell you has made me finally say that I love myself today, really love myself. It took me years, and I mean years to say that. It took me years to say I liked myself, let alone love myself. But they say if you want self-esteem, then do esteemable things. Let me do that again. Say that again. It's not the car, it's not the house, not the relationship, not looking great. It's if you want self-esteem, do esteemable things. And it's the showing up, and it's the being of service, and it's the doing things that you don't want to do, and it's being kind when you don't want to. And it's being nice to people who aren't nice to you. And it's being nice to people who are mean to you or even talk shit about you. Because that's around here, by the way. Like, I'm not one of those people who go, oh, AA is great and everybody's wonderful. No, AA is great. It says principles before personalities. Really important that that's said, because if I stick with the principle of this program, I've got it made, because this program works. If I give you, though, the power of my feelings, can I cuss here? I'm screwed, you know, because what I have done so many times is give you the power over me. You don't like me? Why don't you like me? What did I do? You know, I didn't do anything to you. Why, like, whatever. Or you don't want me to fit into your circle, or whatever it is that we can think. And then before I know it, I want to run myself out of the room and not come back, because I've given you the power to say Alcoholics Anonymous does not work. People are assholes. And guess what? People are people. And what I've learned here is we're all here on a different time frame. Some of us are brand new. Some of us have been here a while. Some of us have worked steps. Some of us never have. I won't say, I'm also not one of those people that say if you never work a step that you're going to drink. Chances are good that you will. But I've definitely seen people with time, and I mean time, who've been here a long time, but they've never worked a step. And what I will tell you that I've observed is they're fucking miserable. They're angry. They're judgmental. They're mean. They're shallow. I don't want that, you know. I've met more people in their first 30 days, honestly, you know, who have done more work just in 30 days showing up, getting a greeting commitment, getting whatever commitment they could. You know, I'm getting a sponsor who's willing to take them through the steps, and they actually show up for the step work. You know, it's about the action. It's about the action. It's not just the showing up. And what I can say to you, my sobriety has been amazing. And I'll also tell you that nothing, and I mean absolutely not one thing good has ever happened to me here in my time. It's always happened when it's supposed to happen, not when I think it should happen, you know? And many times I thought it's never going to happen because it's not happening when I think it should happen. And what I know is that as long as I'm willing to be of service or do the work, my life will continue to change and get better. And it will get better and better and better. And sometimes I feel it in the moment because it might be someone thanking me to share, or I hear someone share and I'm like, oh my God, that's exactly what I needed. And sometimes it's just showing up, and one day I've been struggling and struggling, and one day I wake up and the struggle's gone. And one day you just wake up, it's like that struggle's gone. Then you know, move on to like the next struggle. Because there's always a struggle for me. God. So, I'm just going to touch on, again, I would not be here if I didn't need to be 35 years later. Let me just say that. Because my disease is out to get me many times. And I will tell you that I have not worked this program perfectly by any means. And I have rested on my laurels many times. And what I can tell you is that I've worked the steps thoroughly from 1 to 12, and I've been of service. And my girls, I love my girls, Pebbles and Morgana, and I have a whole nother crew. And they're happy now because I won't sponsor more than 10 women, which is right now we're there. But I used to sponsor like 26 women and 28 women, and they're like, enough. And the truth is, I don't do that anymore because it is okay to say no to an AA request if you're not being fair to yourself for that person. If I'm taking on so many people that I'm either not being a good sponsor to them or not taking care of me, because to me, I take sponsorship seriously, and that means, are you willing to take them through the steps, which takes time? And if you have a job and a family and all that, it's not, but part of that for me, when I look back, was also just some ego involved at that time in my life. Oh, I sponsored 25 women, And those are all phases though, and kind of bouncing back to when I said that there's people that are nice and people that aren't, but if we the one thing I really try to do, and I mean this wholeheartedly, I really try so deeply not to judge anybody here. Now, that doesn't mean I don't have a thought, and that doesn't mean that my first thought might be thinking about them, but I'm able to pause now. I'm able to pause and go, instead of being nasty or mean or judgmental, I go, wow, that person must be really hurting or angry or spiritually sick or not working some type of a program, and that's why they have to be, hurt. People that hurt other people. What I know is that if I'm not feeling good about myself, then I can't really feel good about you. If I'm not feeling good about me, then I got to talk about you. And so instead of, it's easier said than done, but it's not just in these rooms, it's in my life. I try to be the person, be the person that you want to see. Be the change you want to see. And this program has helped me do that. So just a little background, just to check in and qualify. Why I say I loved what you shared. But that's our story. We all, in one way or another, can relate. But I remember, so I'm not Italian, though people think I'm Italian, but I am Russian, Persian, and Polish. And I'm first generation born here in the States, but my father was born in Iran. My mother was born in Poland. Well, you guys hear what's going on in the world today, so I never felt like I fit in. At least they're not hating on the Italians, but they are hating on the Iranians, and they are hating on everybody else. And I remember, growing up and just having the name Shireen, which was different also, and just never feeling like I fit in. And I just remember that. I remember hearing that at the podium, and I knew right away, when people said that, at least I identified. I could relate to that. Our story may be different, but I could relate to feeling different. And I could relate to my mom. I'm an only child. My parents divorced when I was 5, and my father took me to Iran with him when I was 5 years old. So I lived there. I've lived there twice and been there 7 times, all before the revolution. But again, just to share how different that felt. My mom was an actress, getting to be pretty well known. If she would have stuck it out, a few people know who she is. She did some pretty cool movies and stuff. But she stopped. But I remember just never being good enough for my dad, and never being, smart enough for my mom. For my dad, it was always, you're not thin enough, you're not blonde enough, you're not this enough, you're not that enough. And for my mom, it's you're not educated enough. Why do you like that music? Why don't you like opera? Why don't you like, whatever? You're not cultured. So right away, just not feeling like I fit in with mom and dad. And what I love about going through the steps in the big book is when it talks about that we have this peculiar mental twist. I thought drugs and alcohol were my problem. Now, they are. When people say, it's not drugs and alcohol, it's just, no, bullshit. I have an allergy, and I cannot drink. And I turn into, I'm dancing, taking my clothes off, streaking, whatever. No. drugs and alcohol, I always need to be clear. I do have an allergy, and once I start, I cannot stop. And like Morgana, I did not drink for the taste, I drank for the effect, and that is very clear. And once I start, I cannot stop. And they talk about no human aid can relieve us of this disease. And for me, I knew that was true because when I got sober, I'm bouncing around, but I had a daughter, and she was 6 years old at the time that I got sober. But I used when I was pregnant with her, and that alone was not enough to make me stop. And I wish I could tell you that when she was born, I wanted to be a good mom and I had good intention. I really did, but that wasn't enough to make me stop, I had good intention. I wanted to be a good mom. I wanted to be a good daughter. I wanted to show up for my job when I had a job. But it became so clear to me. And so going through the steps showed me that this peculiar mental twist started way before I ever had my first drink or hit of anything. I remember at 5 years old, before my dad took me to Iran, so my first disease is sugar and food, my first addiction. And I remember my mom taking me to the store, and she was in the car. I'm 5 years old now, you guys. That's just like a kid. And she gave me some money, and I remember walking into the store, and all of a sudden, there was just this little voice, and it said, "Steal the candy, steal it." And I remember my heart starting to beat, and I was like, oh my God. And I remember getting that candy, and I remember slipping it in my pocket, and I remember just my heart was beating, and I was so scared. I remember walking out that door and not getting caught and getting in my mom's car. I'm like, drive, I'm not telling her that because she's like, what did you do? And that thrill, that excitement of stealing that candy, that was my first addiction. And I love to steal. And when they talk about a progressive disease, like, it was candy when I was 5, 6, 7, and then Barbie dolls and Kens or whatever. And by the time I was 12 years old, it was like jewelry, clothing, like whatever, but I loved it. And let me just be honest and tell you, I still love it. I just don't do it. And what happens is that, and if that makes sense at all, when I am not armed, when I'm not centered, when I'm restless, irritable, and discontent, and sometimes not even that, when I'm happy, and everything's actually really good. I can tell you that I went into Target. I think I shared this with my sponsee girls, because I tell them I'm honest about everything, because how can I help them grow if I'm not honest? And this is about maybe 4 years ago or 5 years ago, I don't know. But I was going through a really hard time. I was going through a divorce, or I just had a divorce, and it was like brutal. And I remember going into Target, and I had all these baskets that I was going to return. And I have a wallet full of credit cards, all zero balance money, and they wouldn't return to the baskets. They wouldn't, because I didn't have the receipts, and I was so pissed off that they wouldn't take that return for two baskets. And I remember being in the store, and I was getting stuff, and then I remember, when I got to the checker, I just wanted to fucking get away with those goddamn baskets. I was so mad at them because it was self-righteous anger. And so I lied, and I thought I was getting away with it. And now, mind you, and I'm jumping around. At this point, I've had a career of a lifetime. Through Alcoholics Anonymous, I was a high school dropout. I just want you to know that through hearing speakers like me and speakers like you, I decided to go to school when I was sober and get credentialed. And again, the job never happened in my time, but it certainly happened. And I got this amazing freaking career working at the Grammys. For 18 years, I was there, started at the bottom, worked my way to the top because I learned how to fight for myself. I got every musician that you know of, every person who needed help, I helped them. And I just say that to you because here I'm walking into Target with my self-righteous anger, and I'm willing to throw everything that I have gotten here because of my anger. And I thought I was getting away with it, and they stopped me and they said, "Excuse me, man, did you pay for that stuff?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I did." And they're like, "Well, where's your receipt?" And I'm like, "Yeah, here." And I show the receipt because I bought other things. Anyway, all I can tell you is God was on my side. But that was the scariest moment of, not my life, but in years of my heart pounding and just realizing that in that moment I was able to, willing to risk everything. And it wasn't just my career, it was the girls, the people I loved, the people in my life. I was taking care of my mom at the time who hadn't passed. She just passed about a year ago. But, just everything that was in my life, because so, I don't know if that's making sense, but this disease is so cunning and it's just there, and I have to be centered and I have to be present and I have to always be checking myself. And do I do that all the time? No. And that's why it's important to go to meetings even when you don't want to. And that's why it's important to be of service even when you don't want to. And to call your friends. And when you're in your shit, well, I'll just say me. When I'm in my shit, what I've learned how to do is pick up the phone and say, Pebbles, how are you? How are you doing today? Morgana, how are you doing today? Alan, how are you doing today? Because I do. And they know it, or I'll text them and just say, I love you. How are you? And a lot of times that's when I'm in a dark place or a sad place, because it's about not sitting in my shit, but let me get out of my shit so I can see how you are and help me be in another hour of that day or get to the next day. And so what I can say to you is, when I told you about that story about stealing, that just gives you a picture of our disease, that the disease started for me way before I took a hit. I love to steal. I love to set abandoned cars on fire. I just love to do shit that you're not supposed to do, if you're not supposed to date another race, and I'm dating the other race. Whatever you're not supposed to do, that's what I do. I always wanted to go against the grain and just do whatever you're not supposed to do. And okay, it was really cold out there, but I'm getting hot up here. And so I saw, what I also learned is that, some of us have come from really abused families. That is real, that is true. But some of us have come from the Betty Crocker family, and there was none of that going on. Yet, I have girls, and my girls know I've sponsored all different types of women, every color, every race, every gender, preference, you name it, every color of hair, and I remember growing up, again, if I looked like this would happen. If I look like that, this won't happen. If I had this, he wouldn't cheat on me, or whatever, if I look like her. And for me, the most amazing growth experiences happened through sponsoring women, because I have these beautiful women in my life, all of them, who have the courage to read their fourth step to me. And can I tell you that every single one of them, no matter what they look like, no matter where they come from or came from, basically had the same thing happen to them. Because it wasn't about what we look like. First of all, that helps. I'm not going to say if we don't want to be better, to do better, to feel better about yourself. But what I learned through going through step work, it wasn't what I look like. It's my picker. My picker's off. And if I don't do my work, then I keep picking the same type of guys, people who are going to always cheat on me and always abandon me, because my father was like that. And also because I'm picking people who haven't done their work. And what it is if I don't do my work, then nothing's ever going to be enough for me. Nothing. I'm always going to shop and buy. By the way, I do. If I see a pair of boots, I don't just get the one in black. If I like them, I have to black, blue, beige. The shirt, it's just never enough. And what I realized, I'm just sharing this with you guys, that for me and for most people that I've worked with, what takes us out the most is either just that you're not done and you just still aren't convinced that you're an alcoholic, or relationships, so romance and finance, but romance for sure. And so I had to do my work to look at, not pointing the finger at the person I was with, but what am I doing? What is my part? Why do I keep, the person will look different, but it's the same pattern. It's the same thing. And so it's like that just with life, with anything. It doesn't have to be romance. It can be our friends that we pick, jobs that we pick, whatever we do. Why did I get fired one more time? It's their fault. They're assholes. But no, really? Is there something going on? What am I missing, in my life that I continue to not see my part? And for those of you that are new, it feels like there's a few of you in here either in rehab or new. And Morgana's right. I wouldn't be quite so joyful about like, what did you say? Do the scrubbing and do this and listen to your counselor. Oh, fuck that. Like it sucks, right? I mean, no, but it's a gift. And it doesn't feel like it right now. But there's a reason why we're supposed to be on time, at morning meditation or whatever. There's a reason like that there's rules and stuff in place because I was always late for work. I couldn't show up for work in time. They get, written up and then I get fired. Like there's reasons why we start learning how to show up in life early on. And a lot of times that's in rehab, or in a sober living. And, but so I just remember, when I first started going through the steps with my first sponsor and I just saw these patterns in my life, And I got to tell you, she said, are you willing to meet me every week? I'll make sure what time it is. Where's my...
Brian's got you.
Okay. But, every week and go through the big book, page by page, paragraph by paragraph. I was like, yes, I am. Oh, my God, I hated that. But I did it. And what I can tell you is that some people say, like, when they did the 4th step, they were rocketed. And it says that, but rocketed, and they felt the shift. And like, oh, my God, their life changed, and everything was so clear. And sometimes it is that way. But many times, I didn't feel anything, other than I was proud that I did it. But it goes back to when I shared earlier that it's like the magic is happening in the showing up. The magic is just happening to you. You are growing every single day, every single moment by just showing up. And then one day, and so what happened for me is I think it was about a year sober. And I was at a swap meet off of Venice Boulevard. And I was trying on some jewelry because I still like to steal at that point, and I had not stopped, okay? Because I still had that in me. I was new. To me, a year is still new compared to what I have now. And I remember just that need to like steal again. And I remember putting this bracelet on and then slipping it underneath the sleeve, right? And then getting away and getting in my car. The difference was I'm halfway down the street and I'd been working the steps. And what happened is I had a conscience. And all of a sudden I developed a conscience, and all of a sudden it wasn't okay. And I was so uncomfortable. And I could have just kept driving, but I didn't. I actually turned around, went back. I wasn't honest and say I stole it, but I did give it back. And I said, I forgot to take this off here. Please take it back. And what I can tell you is one day at a time since that moment, I haven't stole. Well, maybe a pencil or things like from work every now and then. No, that's just being real. But I've not walked into a store, but it would be a lie if I told you that I still don't think about it because it's in me. There's a part. So if you are somebody who goes, like you hear some people say, I don't ever think about drinking or doing drugs again. And look, if they don't, more power to them. Honest to God, good for them. Let me just tell you that is not me. At 35 years sober, I want those of you to know, in case you're struggling or in case you feel guilty or that you think, is this normal? Like, it's rare that I think about it because my life is so good. And I've learned how to have fun. But it took some time. It took some time to get comfortable not drinking and not getting high. But I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that there are times where I want to take the edge off. There are times where fucking pill sounds good or a drink sounds good or just like I'm in pain or forget pain. I remember I was at, again, Venice Beach. I must really like Venice. But I was at the beach and the sun was glistening on the water and it was a beautiful day and it was warm and it wasn't too hot. And there was just that moment where I was like, oh, God, a bump of Coke would be so nice. Just out of nowhere, So it's not always just when things are bad. It's when things are good, And it's those moments that we really have to be armed with the truth and know your truth. And what I can tell you is I know my truth. I know that I cannot do that. I know what happens to me when I do that. I am clear what happens to me when I do that. What I can tell you, and my girls know, is in 35 years, I've never been, and I know there's a lot of people who have suffer from depression and mental health challenges, and my heart goes out to you if you're in this room because that's the work I do. I work with a lot of people who have that. And it is brutal. And I know that, and it's challenging. I've never once, until 5 years ago, thought that suicide was an answer, or that I could drink. But what happened is I got to a place where I was so challenged in my life, let me put it that way. And my armor, I had no armor. I was exhausted, and I was just going through a lot of things. And there just came this time where it wasn't about that I thought I could drink. There just came the time where I didn't care. So there's a difference between thinking you can and just you don't care. But very dangerous. And for the first time I had woken up, it was about, 5, 6 years ago it started. And it wasn't about having suicide as a plan. I just woke up not wanting to be here anymore. And what I can tell you is that I've been around long enough to know that that's why I call my sponsor every day. And they know how close I am to my sponsor. And I have them call me, or I call them. And, things have changed for me. Like in the old day, the old day. But, it was a little harder, right? It was like harsher. It was like, sit down, shut up, and listen. And I still think you should listen if you're ready. But I don't just say, if you want me to be your sponsor, then you just call me. You know what? I believe it's 2 ways. I believe the love goes 2 ways. If I don't hear from you, I'm going to pick up the phone and call you. I'm going to say, how are you? Like, what's going on with you? The way that I used to believe that if you don't really want this and you haven't hit your bottom, you're not doing it for you. See, we're going to hear a lot of stuff here, so I'm just sharing my opinion and my experience. But like, if you don't do it, for you, then you're not ready. I don't believe that anymore. You know what? I've seen too many people get here for their parents, their spouse, their children, and you show up, and again, the action. You don't have to want to be here, just show up, just keep doing it. What happens is a miracle can start happening. You can hear something in that moment that shifts the way you think completely. We never know when we're going to hear that word or that moment from that person, or you see something that changes your life forever in the way you think. Wow, okay, so I still have a little bit of time because I haven't had the 10-minute warning. So I'm going to tell you one of my favorite stories since I have time to do it. My girls know what I'm going to do, but it really is a story that has changed my life in the recent years. And I hope you can relate to it. But it's not really, so it's about my dogs. But it's really not about dogs, so let me be clear. The story just came from my dogs. But you can apply it to anything. So for those of you that are new, or back, or just hating being here, or don't want AA to be your solution, I get it. So maybe this story is for you. For those of you that are one more relationship, right, that you're just miserable in, or staying in it and just like, why? This may be for you. Whatever it is. So, but what I have learned is that, we're born and we start getting used to certain things that either our parents introduce us to, or that just we accustom ourselves to, and then we create patterns. We create patterns in our life. And so then it becomes like a programming. And now I'm programmed. I like cereal. I don't like, whatever, right? Yeah. I like this type of person. I don't like that type of person. I like this. I don't like that. So for me, I always liked big dogs. Big dogs, and absolutely did not like small dogs. They annoy the shit out of me. Bark, all that stuff, just whine, like, I just, they didn't do anything for me, even though I liked animals. And 12 years ago, I got my first house, so it's never too late. And by the way, you guys, I say this, it's taken a long time, but like, be proud of who you are. Whether you're young, be proud that you're young. We get older, it's a little harder. But one day at a time, to just, part of loving yourself is you don't have to lie anymore. You don't have to pretend like, well, I'm this. I'm 65 years old, almost 66. I say that with pride, because if I don't own who I am, and if I'm not proud of who I am, and if I can't be true to myself and honest, then how can I be that for you? Integrity and honesty start here. And once I can have that here, then I can hopefully help someone out there. And so the reason why I'm sharing that with you is that I've gotten many things in my life that I've said I've gotten later in my life. I mean, I've been around here for a while. Thank you. And so what happened is I got my house and I couldn't wait to get a dog. And my daughter had just gotten a dog. And I still go for the underdog. I just want to say, I still, just because I feel like I've never forgotten what it felt like to walk into these rooms. I never have forgotten what it felt like to have people say they didn't believe in me and that I was a loser and that I would never change and I would never amount to anything. And so for me, again, no judgment, maybe a little, just being honest, but I don't buy dogs. You know, I rescue dogs because I want to rescue a dog, and I rescue dogs that remind me of me. Broken, that nobody wanted, you know, that they get a bad rap. And so my first dog was a pit bull, and it was Zoe. And I got my Zoe girl and brought her home, and I couldn't wait for her to play with my daughter's dog, which was also a pit bull. And lo and behold, we find out very quickly that Zoe is extremely dog aggressive, like extremely. She loved people, but dog aggressive. And we tried everything to like get her trained, and she just wasn't having it. But I never gave her away. I just had to learn how to like work with her. But one day, on my many walks that I would have with her, I realized she could get along. We met one dog, and she actually got along with this dog. And she started playing with this dog, and we'd have play dates. I thought, my God, it's a miracle. And I was so happy. And then these people said that they were moving, and they moved to Chicago. And I was devastated. Zoe was devastated. And for a year, she would pull me down the street and sit in front of this house and wait for Roxy to come out. But there was no Roxy because they were gone. And so I thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to start looking for another dog because it's possible. But I'm looking for the dog that I want, which is another pit bull or a Rottweiler or a German Shepherd, but another big dog, because that's what Shireen wants. That's what Shireen's attracted to. And I'm looking and looking, and I get dogs, and we do meet and greets, and Zoe's ready to eat them, you know. And I'm just like, oh my God, okay. And so I was on a work trip. I was in New York, and I was flying home from work, and I was landing LAX like at 11 o'clock at night, so it was nighttime. And when I turned my phone on, as we landed, I get all these text messages from my dog walker, and she's like, you're not going to believe it. You're not going to believe it. I think I finally found the dog for Zoe and you. You know, we were walking, and this dog was on the street, and Zoe didn't want to eat it for dinner. and it walked with us. And so I took the dog home, Shireen, because I want you to meet the dog tomorrow. And if you don't want it, I know somebody will want this dog. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you. Like, I am so happy, you guys. I've been waiting for this moment. I've been praying for it. I've been wanting this for Zoe. I go, will you please send me a picture right now? I can't freaking wait. Send me a picture. She goes, yes. And she sends me a picture, and it's this little fucking dog, little dog, you know, clipped ears, tail, everything that I didn't like or want, nothing that I was attracted to. And I'm like, oh my God, to myself, okay, I have to be nice. Just let her bring the dog over tomorrow. And she brings this dog, and it's undeniable. He runs up to Zoe, and they're prancing and they're playing, but I'm looking at him, I'm going, ew. Like, I don't want this dog. This isn't what I want. And then there was just that moment. I was like, Shireen, you've been asking for this. And it's not really about you. It's like, you know, it's like, here it is. Just take the dog. And if I had a lot more time, I'd tell you more. But what I'll tell you is that when we open our heart and just get out of the way and just maybe say, I don't know. Or just maybe there's a lesson here for me to learn. I not only ended up, I named him Tucker. Not only did I just love Tucker, I fell in love with him more than I ever thought I could. But I also loved all little dogs, not just Tucker, like all dogs. All of a sudden, I just loved them all. And what happened this last year, I had to put both Zoe and Tucker down. And it broke my heart. And when I was in that place, which my friends know, I always said, you don't have to worry about me when I had those dark days as long as the dogs are alive, because I won't leave them. But if I ever lose the dogs, then maybe you can worry about me. And I lost them, and I lost my mom, and my marriage, and all this stuff happened at once. And instead of waiting and grieving these dogs, there was this voice from my dogs who are in heaven, and said, don't wait. Save another dog now. Save another dog. Save another life. And guess what I have now, you guys? Not one, but 2 little mini pinchers, right? Little dogs. And Tucker was a mini pin. And it's funny how life is. I'll just say that to you, whether it's AA, whether it's a girl or a guy that you never would have been attracted to, maybe they're the one if you just get out of the way. Like maybe it's just like, just pause a minute, just give it a chance. I'm not saying force yourself. I'm just saying, AA, whatever, just like get out of the way long enough to open your heart, to maybe shift, to have the shift, to reprogram the way you think, the way you see things, the way you look at life. These 2 dogs, oh my God, Morgana won't let me live it down. I don't blame her. I didn't know. If I would have known, I got to tell you, I wouldn't have. Because I went to the shelter. They were so severely abused. I've never seen anything like it. I didn't know when I got them until I got home. But they were so abused that it was clear that they'd never been outside. And they were already like 1.5 and 2 years old. They were used for breeding, and they were probably in a garage with no windows. They were scared of windows. They were scared of the mirror. They were scared of the TV. They didn't know how to pee outside. They were literally, I'd bring them to my yard, and they would just shake and lick at me, and then go inside and pee and poo, because that's what they knew how to do. And there were days where I didn't know how I could go on. There were days where I thought, how can I do this? But I couldn't give them back. I couldn't. I just couldn't. But I would just be like praying, I don't know how much more I can do, but you've got to show me what to do. And I just learned. I learned how to do it. I had gates all over my house and this and that. I was just like, and they are so much better, like so much better. But it's been now 11 months since I've had them. And what I can tell you kind of, again, reminds me of us. It's slow and it's steady, but if we don't give up, even when you want to, when you want to so badly, right? Like, how can I do this? But you just keep going. Something shifts, something changes, whether it's your willingness to be in this program, whether it's your willingness not to drink today or get high today or be nice to that person who hurt you most of your life or that you don't like or whatever, just today. And I will tell you that it really is a one day at a time program, and you hear these stupid freaking slogans that seem so corny, but they're so true and they're so real. And, if you think that Alcoholics Anonymous is just about not drinking, you are shortchanging yourself. You're shortchanging this program. It's far beyond anything that I ever could have imagined that would happen to me. I know that there's so much that I am. Like I said, I've had a life beyond my wildest dreams. Working at this career, I got to do some amazing things in this job, and I chose because I've done my work. And I say that because how do we have the courage to do things that scare the shit out of us? And what scared the shit out of me is I never thought I would leave the Grammys because I've been there 18 years. I'm never going to leave. It's like, and then all of a sudden there was like as it happens many times, there was a leadership shift, and there was a whole new management of people that came in, and the whole culture changed and the whole vibe changed, and they let go hundreds of people, not me, but I was there under this new thing, and just everything was different, and I didn't like it anymore. But I'm like, what am I gonna do? Like, this is all I've known, and it's been my part of my identity, and it's this, and there was just that moment again where it's like, where's your faith? I say this to my girls all the time: trust God. Even if you don't have a God, trust whatever, the ocean, the power of the universe, whatever it is that you believe in, but where is the faith? And that's been the only time that I have ever grown, when I have pushed myself to walk through my fears. And so 2 years ago, I chose to leave. I'm still involved with them. I still help them and do what I can. But I chose to leave and just believe in me. And it's been working out so far. It's been a little challenging at times, and it's also been amazing. And I'll just say I never stop learning and I never stop growing. And when I think I have the answers, then I'm in trouble, and I'm also just cheating myself. That I'm growing every single day, and opportunities are happening in my heart, most of all, every single day. And I'm meeting new people in my life every single day. And I'm meeting people that just are transforming the way that I think and see and feel about life. So I hope you heard something from Morgana or me. If nothing else, you showed up to a meeting tonight when it's a holiday weekend and a lot of people are gone and you're here and you're showing up for you, showing up for each other. I'm so humbled. I'm so humbled. I'm so grateful. And I'm grateful because people are dying of this disease every freaking day, every moment. For real, like they're dying, just dying and dropping, or they can't get back. As Morgana said, if you don't die, sometimes we wish we would die because the torture of living an alcoholic life and not being able to stop. I don't ever want to feel that again, ever in my life. So anyway, my hat's off to all of you that are here, and happy holidays. The holidays too. Oh, those are tough.